She walked onto the set like it was built for her. Blazer sharp, smirk sharper. Meghan Markle didn't just arrive. She entered, like a headline waiting to happen. This wasn't about sharing ideas. It was about owning the room. And maybe, just maybe, settling a few scores. But sitting opposite her wasn't some friendly morning host. It was Howard Stern, the king of uncomfortable truths, built from decades of questions that made publicists sweat. He didn't care about titles or tiaras, and he definitely wasn't going to bow. The View's studio buzzed in its usual morning frenzy, lights being calibrated, coffee mugs aligned. The live audience, mostly middle-aged women in cardigans and curiosity, leaned in, whispering about the very special guest. "She's in makeup," a headset crackled, and, she's already arguing with the stylist. Howard was already seated in the co-host chair, flipping through his notes, glasses perched low. He looked up with that trademark smirk. "Perfect," he muttered. "Let's see if the Duchess can handle a peasant with a microphone." The intro rolled, cameras panned. Whoopi Goldberg, calm as ever in her knit sweater. Joy Behar in something orange and assertive. Sunny Hostin, beaming like a LinkedIn profile picture. Then, stage left. Meghan. Cue applause. She soaked it in like stage lights on Broadway. "Ladies and gentlemen," Whoopi began, "joining us today is an actress, activist, podcaster, philanthropist, and, of course, former royal Meghan Markle." Meghan waved, serene but commanding. She sat, crossed her legs with purpose, and turned to Joy with a PR-perfect grin. Joy tossed her the first softball. "Meghan, what brings you here today? I know you've got a million projects." "I'm here to talk about truth," Meghan replied, lifting her chin like a flag being raised. "Too many women are silenced. Too many people denied a voice. I have one, and I intend to use it. Responsibly." Howard leaned back, arms folded. "Responsibly? Interesting choice of word," he said, just loud enough for his mic to catch. Meghan's smile tightened. "Excuse me?" Howard sat forward, hands clasped, calm but loaded. "Just saying, when your platform's that big, your words echo. Ever think sometimes silence can say more than another Netflix series?" The air turned cold. Meghan stared, offended. "That's a very old-school male take," she said. Whoopi gave a nervous chuckle. "Let's keep it chill, folks." But Meghan was already locked in. "Howard," she said, sugary with a side of venom, "you built a career on shock and shame. Forgive me if I don't take lessons on integrity from you." The audience responded with a sharp, "Ooh!" Howard nodded. "Fair, but I never pretended to be a saint." Joy jumped in, hoping to pivot. "Let's talk about your foundation." "No," Meghan cut her off. "Let's not skip past this. What's your real issue with me, Howard? That I married into royalty? That I spoke up? Or that I don't play nice for the cameras?" Howard sighed. "My issue isn't you. It's the performance. You want to be a voice for the voiceless? Amazing. But every cause gets wrapped in the same tired, misunderstood Duchess story. It's hard to know where your purpose ends and your PR begins." Meghan blinked, then laughed coldly. "Coming from a guy whose legacy is strippers on radio, that's rich." Howard shrugged. "Never claimed to be a role model." "Maybe we're all just evolving," Joy offered, voice faltering. Meghan rolled her eyes. "I'm not here for group therapy." Whoopi's brow furrowed. "Nobody's faking anything, Meghan." "Oh, come on, Whoopi," Meghan snapped. "This show doesn't do real questions. You brought Howard in to play the edgy voice, but you're still pouring cream in your feminism." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Joy's mouth hung open. Whoopi leaned forward, voice calm but cold. "You calling us fake feminists?" "I'm saying," Meghan said, crossing her legs again, "that if we really cared about justice, men like him wouldn't be hijacking this table." Howard chuckled softly. "You invited me, sweetheart. I didn't storm the palace gates. The crowd erupted in a weird mix of laughter and tension. Meghan's jaw tensed. See? Everything's a joke to you. Howard's smile faded. So is monetizing pain. But here we are. Whoopi rubbed her temples. Let's take a quick break before this turns into WrestleMania. Stick around, Joy said, forcing a grin. We might still have a show after the break. The screen cut to black. But when they returned, the air was thicker, heavier, like court reconvening after a mistrial. Meghan sat perched, tense and coiled. Howard was relaxed, practiced. He'd danced this dance before. Welcome back, Whoopi said, visibly trying to keep it together. In case you missed it, things got a little lively. More like nuclear, Joy muttered. Howard turned to Meghan. Can I ask you something honest? You're going to anyway, she replied. Why are you still so angry? That stopped everything. I'm sorry. What? Meghan turned to him slowly. You heard me? Howard said. You've got the husband, the freedom, the platform. Why do you still act like the world owes you an apology? Meghan laughed bitterly. You think I'm angry because I don't perform gratitude on cue? No, he replied. I think you're angry because you escaped the cage but still can't stop rattling it. That's not true. Then prove it. Talk about your causes, not your scars. Show us what's next. Meghan narrowed her eyes. You don't get to dictate my narrative. I'm not, he said. I'm just saying, if your story never moves past chapter 1, people stop turning the page. This isn't Howard Stern Live, Meghan said icily. This is The View, a show for women. Maybe let the women speak. Oh, the audience gasped. Howard held up his hands. Go ahead, just don't use feminism as a shield from real questions. Joy tried again. We respect all experiences, not him, Meghan snapped. He's hijacking the table and you're letting him. Joy blinked. I thought we were having a conversation. I came to talk about my foundation, Meghan said. Not get grilled by a guy who made millions humiliating people. Howard smiled. You really don't like being challenged, huh? I don't like being ambushed. And yet, Howard replied, you haven't stopped talking about me since we sat down. Whoopi's voice cut through like a gavel. Both of you! Enough! It's hard to breathe when you're being gaslit on national TV, Meghan muttered. Howard looked at her for a long second. Meghan, journalism isn't gaslighting. Holding public figures accountable isn't abuse. You don't get to define journalism, she snapped. Maybe not, but I do get to ask what everyone else is wondering. She leaned forward. Coming from a guy who made women ride mechanical bulls for ratings, please. Howard nodded. Yeah, I've said I regret a lot of that, but I own it. I've evolved. You still act like you've never made a misstep. Meghan's nostrils flared. This is what you do. You tear women down for sport. I question people who sell trauma like merch, Howard replied. Gender has nothing to do with it. Whoopi cut in again. We're out of time, folks. Let's dial it way down. But Meghan wasn't done. You pretend to be some cultural sage, she said, but you're just an outdated shock jock clinging to relevance. And you, Howard replied, are a carefully curated brand pretending victimhood is activism. The silence was absolute. Joy exhaled slowly. We'll be right back. The screen faded to black again, but in the studio, no one moved, not a whisper. The third segment didn't return with laughter or applause, just a quiet, heavy air that hung like fog. At home, viewers leaned in. In the studio, phones were discreetly tilted under the table, silently recording. The tension wasn't just thick, it was flammable. The lights came back up. Joy Behar forced a smile, tight and artificial. Well, it's been a spirited morning here on The View. We're back with Meghan Markle and guest co-host Howard Stern discussing, well, a lot. Meghan didn't bother with a smile. She sat back, arms folded, wearing a look that screamed, "Queen under fire." "Let's not pretend this is a discussion," she said coolly. "It's an ambush." Whoopi folded her arms. "Meghan, you've had more airtime than any of us." "That's because I actually have something to say," Meghan shot back. Howard chuckled, low and dismissive. "You've said a lot. The real question is, did anything actually change?" That was it. Meghan leaned forward, eyes locked on him like crosshairs. "You know what your problem is, Howard? You confuse sarcasm with insight. You sit there smug like you figured out the world, but all you're doing is tearing down people who've lived through hell." Howard's face didn't budge. "I don't tear down. I challenge. It's called discourse. Adults do it." "Oh, please," she snapped. "You're a shock jock playing TED Talk dress up." The audience laughed, but not with her, and she felt it. That sting of realizing the room wasn't on your side. She turned on Joy next. "Would any male guest be treated like this?" Joy blinked, thrown. "Meghan, you called us fake feminists 20 minutes ago. Because you brought him in here to hijack the conversation." "We brought him in," Whoopi said, voice flat, "because he asked real questions. You wanted to talk about your docuseries. We gave you that space. But every time someone challenges your framing, you call it an attack." Meghan shook her head, eyes glossed with frustration. "This is always what happens. A woman tells her truth, and the world expects her to bleed quietly." "No," Howard replied, still calm. "The world just wants to know if the bleeding ever stops, or if it's just a trailer for your next deal." Gasps. Real ones. Louder now. Then it happened. Meghan slammed her hand on the coffee table. Mugs rattled. "Enough!" she shouted. "I'm not going to sit here and be dissected by a man who built his career mocking women, and by women who clearly forgot what solidarity means." Whoopi stood. "Don't raise your voice here." "Oh, I'm sorry," Meghan spat. "Are we afraid of emotion now?" "No," Howard said, unflinching. "We're afraid of entitlement wrapped in trauma." Boom. Dead silence. Even Joy froze. Meghan's jaw clenched. "You're just mad," Howard continued, "that I didn't kneel when you walked in. I'm mad," she growled, "that men like you keep getting platforms while women like me are picked apart like cadavers." "You're not being picked apart," Howard replied. "You're being questioned. That's the job. If you want praise without pushback, start a podcast. Don't come on a talk show." That was it. Meghan stood up. "I don't need to take this," she said, voice shaking. "From you or this show?" "Then don't," Howard replied coolly. "The door's right there." Whoopi stepped in, blocking the path. All right. Let's all take a breath." "No. Let her go," Howard said plainly. "She didn't come here for dialogue. She came for a coronation." "You're disgusting," Meghan snapped. "And you're exhausting," Howard replied, without blinking. Silence again. Sharp, suffocating silence. Then, muffled voices in Meghan's earpiece. "We're going to cut if she leaves the frame." She didn't care. She walked off. The camera tried to pan away, but not fast enough. Viewers saw her retreating figure in the crisp white blazer storming behind the curtain. A beat passed. Then Joy turned to the camera. "Well, that happened." Howard sipped from his mug. Calm. Whoopi shook her head. "This isn't what we planned." "No," Howard replied. "But it's what we got." The screen cut to the show's logo, but the internet didn't wait. It exploded. Clips, opinions, divisions, critics, defenders. Hashtags lit up like a digital wildfire. But in the studio, silence. The camera didn't cut immediately. 5 full seconds of live, unfiltered aftermath. Joy, stunned. Whoopi, still, seated. Howard. Calm as ever, his tea now lukewarm. Then Joy spoke. "We want to apologize to our viewers for the unexpected turn of events," Whoopi muttered. "A little? I didn't cause anything," Howard said into the mic. "You brought me here to have a real conversation. I showed up." Joy turned to him. "There's a difference between conversation and cornering someone, Howard." "I didn't corner her," he said. "She just expected applause, not questions. That's not a talk show. That's PR. I don't do PR." Whoopi leaned in. "I respect you, Howard, but there's a line between tough questions and provoking a meltdown." Howard shrugged. "Maybe the problem isn't the question. Maybe it's how fragile the answers are." No clapping, just stunned faces. And then the voice of executive producer Brian Donnie cut through the PA. "Folks, we'll be taking an extended break. Please remain seated." Howard leaned into the camera. They didn't cut away. "You know," he said, voice low, almost tired, "there's something broken in this culture. Somewhere along the way, sympathy became currency. Meghan Markle walked onto this set not to talk, but to preach. She wanted confirmation, not confrontation." He adjusted his mic. "And when she didn't get it, she did what she's trained the public to expect. Walk out, cry foul, reset the narrative. That's not vulnerability. That's strategy." Joy tried to interject. "Howard, let me finish," he said, still measured. "We've created a world where outrage sells better than answers, where trauma is curated like content, and asking a basic question gets labeled as cruelty. That's the problem. Not the media, not men, not even the monarchy. That—" The room froze again. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't insult her. I asked questions. She called that an attack. Think about what that says about where we are. Finally, Whoopi closed the segment. "We'll be right back. Cut to commercial." So now we ask you, was Howard Stern out of line for pushing Meghan Markle to answer real questions? Or was this walk-off just another act in a script we've seen before? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want more, no-filter moments where the mask slips and truth punches harder than PR, hit that like button and subscribe to Echo Stories. Because next time, it might be your favorite icon walking off stage.